What's up, Boise State fans? Happy Thursday morning to you. BJ Rains here with Bronco Nation News. He is Mike Prater. Every Thursday, we get a chance to catch up with Prater, 95.3 FM, the ticket, host of Prater and the Ball Game, 3 to 6 weekdays there on 95.3 FM, the KTIK app, KTIK.com. All kinds of ways you can listen or watch their show and us. We're here on the social media channels of Bronco Nation News and 95.3 the ticket, KTIK. So whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, we appreciate it. And Mike, it's a happy Thursday morning for Boise State fans. Big win last night. How you doing?
Doing great, brother. How you doing? Welcome back to Boise. I know you were at Colorado Springs last night. Big win. Let's get after it today on a Thursday morning.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Happy to make it back last night. I guess hashtag blessed would be the key word there. And but no, it's great to always get more viewers. Crazy how that works, Mike. You get more callers, more viewers, more interest after a win or when the team's doing well. And they got that 20th win last night, and I know that's a number that means a lot for some people, and maybe it we'll see if the bar keeps getting raised where maybe 25 becomes the number here now or what. But they got to 20 and in impressive fashion. I mean, you think about that Colorado State loss on Sunday and how that could have lingered for, and then you don't have Acott, you don't have Najee Smith again, and you're at a place where you were 4-5 all time and had struggled some. They'd lost the last two trips there, and it was snowing outside, and there was no crowd, and it was just, I don't know, there were a lot of reasons why that game could have been and should have been closer, but they came out and I know it's Air Force, but to win by 26, I mean, that was a statement win last night.
Ball game. I right off the bat, I just called you ball game. I'm actually sitting in ball game's chair, so excuse the ball game vibe. BJ, 3 words, 9 for 9. Boise State goes 9 for 9 from the free throw line. I don't care who that is against. I don't care if it's Kentucky. I don't care if it's Air Force. I don't care if it's East Junior High. Boise State last night, 9 for 9 from the free throw line, and that's important because I think last night was the biggest confidence boost of this entire season for Boise State basketball. Going into a place where in the back of their mind, they're going, uh-oh, we got some issues because we've always had issues at Air Force. And then all of a sudden they go out there and they shoot the lights out and they win by 26. It's the best shooting performance in the history of Leon Rice at Boise State. 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Huge win. They got some players off some depth players, some minutes. I think this was the absolute perfect ball game for Boise State basketball last night. It was the best confidence builder of the entire season, and it comes at a perfect time, as you know, with 2 monster home games coming up, BJ.
Yeah, they had in one season now, Mike, they've had the worst shooting percentage in the history of Leon Rice, and now the best.
Now you know what my angst is with this basketball team. You just summed it up right there.
68.8% from the field last night. I think it was like 73% in the first half. They win by 26, 10 of 18 from 3-point range as well. You mentioned, the bench. Lucas Milner had his best game, 13 points, career high for him. Pavlik Kuzmanovic, 9 points off the bench. I mean, I know Marcus Shaver had his 20, but I think you had, 5 other guys that had at least 9 points, Mike? I mean, it was a pretty balanced attack.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with that. And everybody getting their minutes, everybody coming through. In order to shoot 70%, 68, 8, whatever it was, from the field, you have to have help from all your starters, your bench guys. Everybody has to contribute to get a monster number like that. Nobody shoots 70% in a basketball game. That's ridiculous. But they pulled it off last night, and it was everybody top to bottom. I don't care. I know Air Force wasn't very good, and they never are good. But in this particular case, Boise State didn't matter. They didn't get the demons get stuck in their heads. And I thought it was a very, very impressive performance. To go on that 22-8 run when this sucker was tied, it was very, very impressive because when it was tied at 23-23, you had the impression, here we go again. Buckle up. It's going to be a nasty slugfest at Air Force, where it's kind of weird. You were there last night, but the arena is pretty much empty except for the cadet section at the end of one baseline. So it's a weird environment, weird opponent, weird offense that they have to do. And kudos to Boise State. I think they nailed every single box that they had to check last night.
I don't know if I'm looking to see if they announced the attendance. 1850 is what they announced it at, and that's being generous, Mike. It was snowing outside. It was ugly weather. There might have been 200 or 300 non-cadets. I mean, it was like watching it was bad. It
Wow.
really was. And so That was my first time being there last night. That was the last Mountain West basketball venue I had never been to. So it was very interesting to see it, and it was cool to, experience it. But yeah, there's just, it's a hard place to play for other reasons. Not usually you're thinking, oh, it's a packed house and all this. And if that place did get packed with how small it is, it actually probably would be really crazy. But it was just so kind of quiet and dead, and you had to kind of bring your own energy. And you're right, Mike. Not only were they tied 23-23, they were shooting like 75% at that point. They were 9 for 12 from the field, and yet they were tied. So you're kind of thinking, oh man, if they they're not going to keep this pace up, and if Air Force hits a couple shots here, I mean, that's why it was a really scary. And yeah, for them to finish the half like that, Marcus Shaver having back-to-back buckets right before the half. You go up 14, and then you feel really good about that, and then you kind of coast in the second half. And we got some highlights that we'll play in the background, kind of, Mike, as we're talking about this. But what just I know everyone says it was Air Force. Don't read too much into it, but I've been using the word, or the phrase, I guess, that this team just feels different to me, Mike. And so can we take anything? I mean, would previous teams after losing to Colorado State have gone down there and maybe not lost, but at least struggled? I mean, can you look at last night's game and say there's reason to believe that this team just has a little different feel to it than previous teams?
Oh, absolutely. I truly believe that that's true. And this is the best team that I've seen Leon Rice having. And they're checking most of the boxes in terms of getting things done. Yeah, they've lost a couple here and there, but I mean, what is their record? What are they?
20-6.
So yep. Yeah, 20-6, 11-2 in conference. Plenty of big games ahead. There was some doubt, because they had lost I think 2 or 3 games going into the Air Force, whatever it was. There was some doubt, especially going into Air Force, where you struggled. But this basketball team is different, and it's going to be different. It's going to continue to be different, and we all should understand that it's different. But here's my issue, and it's not going to happen in the regular season. Even if they had lost last night, I know you were talking about it. I know Ball Game on Idaho Sports Talk was talking about it. If they lost, it would be disastrous for their NCAA resume. I don't know about disastrous. It wouldn't have helped, but I don't think it would have kept them out of the tournament. It's going to take bigger things to keep them out of the tournament. Here's the issue. I think they're going to be fine in the regular season. Once they get into the tournament, until they get into the semifinals, they just have to win those important games once they get into the tournament. I still have a little bit of a doubt that they might lose the wrong game at the wrong time, and it's going to be painful and it's going to hurt. Otherwise, I have a lot of confidence in this basketball team, and they deserve to have our confidence. They're showing that they can get things done, and this is a good basketball team. We can nitpick it to death, but this is a good basketball team.
Well, I think that the wrong game at the wrong time in previous years would have been last night, or a game like last night. You think about last year when they lost to New Mexico, who was like, or Fresno, I guess it was, in the final regular season game when they made up that weird game and they lost. And yep. Now you look at the schedule, Mike, they don't have any game left of the 5 where it would just be a quote unquote horrible loss. I mean, the worst one would be Nevada at home, but they're still 130th or something. So they're still in the upper third. You don't have the Air Force or the New Mexico or just the quote unquote terrible loss. San Jose, there's no game right now that you got last night out of the way where, they can afford to lose a game or two here and they're probably still in good shape. And I know the Mountain West tournament obviously could change that, but even in the 8-9 game, if they win the league, they're going to probably be playing a Nevada or a Utah State or somebody like that, who's not a terrible team. So I think they've avoided the catastrophic, potential, I guess, at this point. Now they just can't go 0-5 or whatever. I mean, I think they have a chance here where I think they can lose another game or two. I think 3-2 probably gets them in. I mean, you obviously want to take care of your home games. Ideally, you win all 3 of the home games, and then you try to split on the road. You go 4-1, but it's a little easier said than done with the way Utah State and San Diego State are coming in back-to-back, Nevada as well. But Patsy's saying great team win, total effort top to bottom. Congratulations. Yeah, if you do have a comment, you can get it in there. But Mike, I think they've set themselves up. They're back up to number 30 at Ken Palm. They're number 35 in the net. But even before this game, you guys had Jerry Palm on Idaho Sports Talk, and he still had them right solidly on that 8-9 line. And I mean, the win last night, isn't going to all of a sudden bump them to a better seed, but it wasn't going to hurt them. And that's why the game was kind of scary. It wasn't one that could really help you a lot, but it really, really could have hurt you. But they jumped up like 10 spots in some of the computer rankings because not only did they win, but they won so convincingly by 26 points. So I think now they've set themselves up for the final stretch here. They're in a really, really good position. I mean, I don't know if you're ready to declare that this team is officially going to the tournament yet, but I mean, it seems like at this point it would be hard to screw this up.
I would agree with that. And you touched on half the formula that I was thinking. 100% agree with you. 3-2, that's not a problem. If they lose a couple of these regular season finales, 3-2, here's the bottom line from my perspective, and I'm certainly no bracketologist guru. I'm not Jerry Palm, although, I was going to make a Jerry Palm joke, but we'll leave that aside. 3-2 and win one game in the Mountain West tournament. One game, just one game. 100% lock that this team's going to the NCAA tournament. So that's not asking a lot. In the past, we've been sitting here in March or late February thinking, oh, Boise State's got to go on a 5-1 run or they've got to sweep these last 6 games and they got to get to the finals of the tournament. 3-2 in the regular season, very doable based on the schedule and the home games, and 1 win in the Mountain West tournament. This team's going to the NCAAs.
And I don't even know for sure if they have to win a game in the tournament either. I mean, I think there's still a scenario where they could, if they do get upset in the tournament, definitely if they can go 4-1 or 5-0, but who knows? Even at 3-2, I don't think it's like if they lose the quarterfinals, they're not a tournament team all of a sudden. But ESPN bracketology in the 8-9 slot against TCU, according to Greg Myers. Jacob saying, think we can go 4-1, perhaps 5-0 if everything clicks. Akot and Najee need to be present, though. I will say good news. I am hearing good news about Akot, Mike. I think there's a chance that he plays on Saturday. I would say a better than a chance, a good chance. I would say that I think that it was kind of designed. You try to win the game without him, give him a couple days. I thought he'd be back for Colorado State. We found out it was a little more serious than they thought. But, yeah, I mean, if you get Akot back there for Saturday, Najee Smith, I think, was just some sort of weird sickness, and he didn't even make the trip, but he's supposed to be back Saturday. He should be back Saturday as well. So, I mean, I think you get all your horses back here for the final 5 games, and you would hopefully get a big crowd, right, at Extra Mile Arena on Saturday. And here's Coach Rice, and the video's a little grainy, so I apologize. The Wi-Fi sucked down there, but here's Coach Rice talking about Saturday, 4 o'clock against Utah State.
They're all tough, and we need a huge crowd. These guys deserve it. They've been playing their tails off. These games have been so entertaining, everyone they play in. And, they deserve the Boise crowd to come out. They deserve the support they're going to get. And it helps us. I mean, it means the world to these guys when they get to play in front of a big crowd. And, I mean, one of the things that was pointed out to me, I think we're one of the top 10 teams in the country of number of games we've won away from our home court. Okay, well, now it's time to defend. We've got tough home games starting Saturday, and we need Boise State. We need a sellout. I mean, if it takes me, walking through the river, whatever you need me to do, tell me. I'll do it just to help these guys and to get more people in the seats. We're getting concessions back. Let's pack the place, because you're going to look back and go, God, I wish I would have went and watched these guys. They were awesome.
What would your response be to that, Mike Prater?
Well, I think, first of all, let me go back to what you said before you introduced that. Bad Wi-Fi at the Air Force Academy. Should I be worried about our government? I mean, that's the one place where I want good Wi-Fi. Or maybe the aliens are checking in on you, BJ.
Even worse, they claimed I had Ethernet plugged in, and the Ethernet, that was actually an Ethernet cord, which wasn't even working. Yes, the Wi-Fi, too. It was not great accommodations last night. But.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about our Air Force and our government if that's the case there. As for Leon, I don't think he's going to have to do any cartwheels through the Boise River or catch a salmon and show us on a video. It's not going to be a sellout because Boise State doesn't sell out football games or basketball games, but it's going to be the biggest crowd of the season. And you always have to check a bunch of boxes for fans to show up. It's got to be a decent opponent, and I don't care how good or bad Utah State is. That's always an entertaining game, and fans, it just clicks that Utah State's going to be an entertaining game. 4 o'clock on Saturday. I think that's a perfect time. That's a beautiful time, especially this time of year. We did it a couple weeks ago, and you walk out of the building at 6:15 and it's still light outside. Are you kidding me? You got your whole night, you got your whole day. So I think it's going to be perfect. This team's on a roll. We know that San Diego State's coming on Tuesday night as well. They're going to get 20,000 people for these next 2 games, BJ, and that's a significant upgrade. That's exactly what Leon Rice wants.
Dustin asking about the Akot injury. It's a knee, something with his knee. But he is coming back, I believe, Saturday. We'll see. But silver lining of Akot's absence, Max Rice has elevated his game offensively the past few games. And I had Doug Gottlieb. I know he did the game on Fox Sports 1. Mike, he came on my pregame show last night, and he was talking about Max Rice. And I think he was, 1 for 24 or something to start the season from 3. And he said it was getting to that point where when you're the coach's kid and it's not going well, that the rumblings are starting to go about should he play or not. And there was a time there where they had no choice. They had nobody else healthy, or he might not have played as much. And Doug Gottlieb joked that, when you're the coach's kid, he's struggling. He said, when you're the coach, you either get fired or divorced or both, because you got, if it's not going well. And so, he stuck with it. And I think Max was 4 for 8 from 3 last night. I think that's 3 or 4 games in a row where he's hit multiple threes. And when Max hits that first one and he gets that confidence going and starts letting it fly, I mean, he's a different player. And when Max Rice is, hitting threes and contributing, Mike, this is a different team.
7 of 15 in these last 2 games combined. I think I read that in your story at Bronco Nation News. So, yeah, obviously they want Acott back, and they need that point guard moving forward. But you know what? It's nice to know that Max Rice can elevate his game, especially offensively. He didn't look right last night. He looked like, to me, he was limping around a little bit. I don't think he's healthy, but it seems like to me he's playing basketball with a football mentality right now. And he kind of looks like, like a Brock Forsey or a tough little local fullback, running back kind of guy. He's kind of thick, but you can see his gait just isn't right, but he's toughing it out. I think Max Rice, and I know I've beat him up a lot, mostly just because he can't shoot the ball at certain times. I need him to be more consistent shooter, which he's been lately, but he's tough. He's flying around. He's doing all the things that they needed from him. I wish he could come off the bench, and maybe if Acott comes back, that's going to be the case, because I'd love to have Max Rice's energy off the bench. I don't need to see him as a starter, but Max Rice, I don't care who his coach is, who his dad is. He deserves a spot on this team. He's playing well right now. I think he's gutting through a lot of stuff, and I really like what he's contributing to this basketball team right now.
Yeah, 13 made threes in the last 6 games. He had 17 points against Colorado State, 14 points against Air Force. So 31 points for him in the last 2 games. And you're right, he is dealing with a foot injury, I believe. And I believe it's the other foot. Remember, he broke his foot last year at the end of the season on one. And I think he did something to his other foot last night or the game before. So that is something to kind of monitor moving forward with him. But Mike, we'll shift here in a minute to football. Just 5 games left, and you see what Milner did. You see what Kuzmanovic is now providing. If they get Acott back, I mean, what would be? I mean, it looks like this team is just, we're in a prime position here to take care of business. You got the home games, and we're not even talking about making the tournament. We could talk about getting a 6, 7, 8 seed. I mean, a decent seed here. What's standing in this team's way right now? From the outside looking in, you think this team is just, they take care of business here. They're in the tournament and they got a chance to not only get in, but win a game. What do you see as why that wouldn't happen? I mean, to me, this team looks like they're on a roll right now.
Yeah, they're definitely on a roll. And I don't see it not happening. Even doom and gloom guy Prater, I don't want to sit here and say that they're not going to go to the NCAA tournament. So, if they go 2-3 as opposed to 3-2 and lose in the first round of the Mountain West tournament, it's going to be a little palm sweaty time. There's no doubt about that. It's not like this basketball team, has completely locked itself into the NCAA tournament, but they're that close. So, let's stay healthy. The first thing you got to do is stay healthy, because as we get closer to crunch time, I don't really necessarily want to see Kuzmanovic off the bench with contributing minutes, with serious minutes. When you get to the postseason, coaches tend to shorten their bench. Boise State's been playing with a shortened bench all year long, 5, 6, 7 guys. When we get down to crunch time, I think it's going to have to be those same 5, 6, 7 guys. Those guys need to stay healthy, and you just need to avoid the serious drought. And I don't think that this basketball team is capable of going into a drought right now. They've proven to me that they belong, and they're good, they're veteran, they're smart, they're getting stuff done.
Well, I agree. I totally agree. I'm again, it's 9 years covering the team for me, a lot longer for you, but the defense, the rebounding, there's just some intangibles and what they're getting from guys like Tyson Degenhart you didn't even expect, maybe. I mean, you think about it, I've said it a lot now, but I joked at the beginning, they've had the worst shooting percentage and the best shooting percentage under Rice. I mean, you think about when this team was 3-4 and had lost to St. Louis and had lost to Bakersfield, and you're kicking guys off the team, and just you think about what a couple months can do. I mean, you said this was the best Boise State basketball team, or at least the best Leon Rice team, right, that we've seen here, you think?
I think so, in terms of depth, getting things done, doing things right. Most importantly, here's where I'm most impressed, and maybe we should have led with this. They're just getting better. They're getting better. And the one box that they hadn't checked so far is the confidence, the mental game, just getting out there. And that's why last night was so stinking important, to get past that Air Force bugaboo. And they absolutely did that. So confidence-wise, I think Boise State woke up this morning. I don't know if they chartered back home or not, but I think they woke up this morning probably feeling better about themselves now than they have this entire season, with 2 big games coming up.
Hey, quick shout out, quick thank you. United Commercial Insurance, the best in business insurance. Local company, Brandon Meinert and his staff right here in Boise, but they can write policies in 44 states around the country. General liability insurance, workers' compensation, professional liability insurance, commercial property insurance, you name it, they can take care of it for you. If you just started your business or if you've been working for decades, United Commercial offers competitive rates and great service to help manage your business insurance needs. United Commercial makes it easy for Let's talk football, Mike. I know that's always a big topic, and we saw, we got teased the day before they were going to release the schedule, and then that's always fun. You can kill time doing that. What are you expecting? What are you hoping? And then the schedule did come out yesterday, and we got it on the screen right here. What are your thoughts, Mike Prater, on the Boise State football schedule? And fans, if you have a comment or a thought, you can let us know as well.
I'm still looking for that Michigan State game. I think they left it off the list, BJ. Okay, yeah, the Michigan State game is gone, and I'm still just a little bit depressed about that. When you see it in writing, and we knew that it was coming, it's just a little bit more depressing to me. This town loves big non-conference games, especially if you can get them in Albertson Stadium, and it just kind of was a gut punch yesterday when you didn't see that Michigan State game. Beyond that, I think it's a perfectly fine schedule. They have 3 of their first 4 games on the road. That's always a little bit of a confidence builder, and they're all winnable games. You got the back-to-back home games in the first 10 days of October. I've always said October is the best weather month in Boise, and back-to-back games on a Friday, Saturday, whenever they put these games with San Diego State and Fresno State at home, that's a spectacular thing for the fans, and I think that's something the fans can get excited. BYU late, finishing the season with a home game against Utah State on Thanksgiving weekend. I think it's a pretty good schedule. You got the bye week before Air Force, although I'm not sure you need a bye week before Air Force anymore. That's old style thinking. Boise State football doesn't need 2 weeks to prepare for Air Force anymore. I mean, I know this is a new coaching staff and a couple of wrinkles here and there get you prepared for Air Force. I'd almost rather have the bye after Air Force because you come out of the Air Force games beat up. The offensive linemen, the guys in the trenches are hurt. To me, it seems like we're at the point in this program where they would better have it afterwards. But you know what? It never hurts. I think it's a good schedule, BJ.
3 out of 4 on the road, obviously, and I guess you make up for that. Then you only have 3 road trips the rest of the season. You have from September 24th to November 12th, almost 2 months where you only have 1 road game to Air Force. Greg Myers chiming in at Wyoming in November, ready for a snow game. I guess if you had to go there, you would wish it was a little earlier, maybe.
Well, no, I saw a bunch of people say that yesterday. Look if the game's at 8 o'clock at night, I guess it could be cold. Are we really whining about a cold game in football? That's what football's supposed to be. And go look at the temperatures as opposed to just whining and generally throwing something out. The average temperature during the day in Laramie in the first 15 days of November is 42 degrees. So if this is a day game, it's going to be 40 degrees based on averages and based on history. It's not like Laramie, when a calendar turns to November, it's all of a sudden the Arctic. It's not that big a deal, guys. You play football in the cold, you play football in the snow, and Laramie on November 14th or whatever the day is, November 19th, is not that big a deal. Yeah, there's a chance it could snow. Yeah, there's a chance it could be crazy, but you can have that anywhere. So stop whining about the weather in Laramie in November.
You do have the, if I can remember, I have to go back and look, but it seems like it's not very often where they've had that final game of the regular season at home, too. I mean, that's something where they're usually playing that Thanksgiving weekend on the road, whether it's Fresno or San Jose or Air Force one year. I mean, it seems like most of San Diego State, right, this past year when they played the game in LA. So that's a rarity for them to be home the last regular season game. That helps. You do have the back-to-back road games there. The BYU game is going to get a lot of hype as maybe the last game for a while, Mike, until they're either in the same conference or they can get it, together again down the line. But it's that's going to be a big one. Do you like that being in the middle of the year like that, how it's been, or would you prefer that with the other non-conference games at the beginning?
I do kind of like it there. It gives me a little spark, gives me a little something to look forward to. As we just talked about the San Diego State, Fresno State back-to-back games, and then you got to go on the road to Colorado for Air Force, and you got to bring Colorado State back here for a home game, and then all of a sudden you got BYU. So I think that's fine. It's typically that game has moved around an awful lot. It's been in October most of the time, although 2 of the last 4, I think that game has been in November. But yeah, it's a sad time. November 5th, 2022, RIP, Boise State, BYU. Let's hope they can figure out a way to get this rivalry back because I think this is an important game. But right now we can look forward to that game. That'll be a lot of fun.
We got Jake Forsyth chiming in here. Prater, UT Martin, how does that make any sense to schedule them? Good thing for UT Martin, but how does that help Boise State? Maybe the most random opponent BSU has ever played. The athletic department wonders why the fan base can't sell the place out.
Yeah, that was interesting. 100%.
And that was supposed to be as you said, that was supposed to be the Michigan State game.
Yep.
When they canceled the Michigan State game to make some money, they added UT Martin, and I believe Michigan State is paying UT Martin to come play here, I believe. So
yeah, there was some kind of funny number, and I know they're trying to make some money, and they're making some money. I don't know. I think it was $2 to $3 million because they threw some Washington on the schedule. They got a little squirrely there, but they're not getting this money I think they're getting half of it next year and half of it after that. So it's not like they're getting a lot of money early. And can you imagine how much ticket sales, season ticket sales, attendance sales, single game sales you could have if you had Michigan State on this schedule? I think that's a big loss. I think it's, and I've said this on Idaho Sports Talk several times. I love what Jeremiah Dickey's doing as the athletic director at Boise State. He's done everything right so far. But this football schedule, getting rid of Michigan State, I think it was a greedy loss. They're chasing a little bit of money. I know they need money. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. This town needs big non-conference games to get excited about BSU football, especially when you're coming off a 5-loss season.
Well, I think that was part of it, too, the competitive level. I think they thought some of these schedules may have just been a little too difficult. Are they 4-0 when they host San Diego State on October 1st, Mike? Are they 4-0?
Sounds right, but I'd have to confirm that, BJ.
I mean, at New Mexico, that's got to be a win. UT Martin's got to be a win. You would think at UTEP, right? I know they ended up having a pretty solid year, but I guess Oregon State in the opener would be the one question. But if you can beat Oregon State, right? I mean, the schedule sets up for them to go on a little bit of a run here, because if you get to 4-0, then you got the back-to-back home games. This is not, they won't win any, arguments for strength of schedule this year, but the schedule does set up nicely. I think a lot of people, myself included, expect a bounce back, 10-win type season. And I think that is in part due to the easier schedule.
You look at the non-con, or you look at those first 4 games, 3-1's a no-brainer to me. If they can pull off 4-0, they're going to put themselves into a national conversation going into those back-to-back home games against San Diego State and Fresno State. If you can win those, we're off and running. But yes, I think this schedule is built for a bounce-back season, a rebound season. And I can see at least 8-9 wins here that I feel pretty confident about. And if they can pull off of a couple of others, I think that Andy Avalos has to be thrilled with this schedule. I know strategically this is what they want. They want small, medium, and large when it comes to non-cons. They kind of got it. So Andy Avalos has to love this schedule.
Final thing, Mike, just to sum this all up, I mean, we're still in basketball mode, and they got a couple of huge home games coming up. Saturday, 4:00, Utah State. I mean, this team, you're saying maybe not a sellout, but the biggest crowd of the season. The third deck, I'm sure, is going to be open. I believe it's an orange out. They're passing out some rally towels, like the first 1,500 fans. If you're a Boise State fan, even just a casual, generic fan, I mean, if there was ever a time to come see them, it'd be either Saturday or Tuesday, right?
Yep, I would agree with that. And don't forget, and I know we talked about this right before we went on the show, it's been a good couple of days for Boise State basketball. And we talked about it yesterday. You talked about it yesterday. And we're going to dive deeper into it more on Idaho Sports Talk. But the big commit that they got, Sadrak Nganga, I just wanted to bring him up so I could say his name. Sadrak Nganga. I appreciate JP for taking me through some pronunciation classes this morning. Sadrak Nganga, one of the bigger on paper recruits Boise State's ever gotten. I know he's got a lot of love from a lot of major basketball powers, but he's coming in with some major injury issues, and we're trying to get to the bottom of that in terms of what kind of injuries. We know it's a knee, how deep, how sensitive is that knee, and if he can come in here and be healthy, that's a big pickup for Boise State basketball. It's been a good couple of days, so yeah, let's celebrate with a big crowd. 14 of the last 15 top crowds in the history of Extra Mile Arena happened before this century, BJ. 14 of 15 top attended crowds in Extra Mile Arena history happened before this century. I think there was a Vandals game in 2011 that's on that list. It would be nice to see a little 2022 love on Boise State's attendance list. I think they have a chance on Saturday night. Which,
ironically, I guess in 2000s, when they switched how they counted, they started counting butts in the seats in about 2000, which is partially for some of those numbers. But yeah, 4-star, 6'10" guy. And you think if all of a sudden Marcus Shaver or some of these guys come back next year and you add this guy to the mix, who knows? Mike, we'll be listening to Idaho Sports Talk 3 to 6 on the KTIK app, KTIK.com, or 95.3 FM, 1350 AM. With Prater in the ball game, JP, Johnny, and you. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. And we'll be listening to you, and I'll be happy to join you guys tomorrow at 4:00.
Yeah, Idaho Sports Talk with BJ Rains, the Bronco Nation News Report. Why do we put you on at 4:00, but you make me come in at 9:00 in the morning? I mean, why do you do that to me, BJ?
Because I'm paying you, you're not paying me. So
there's a lot of truth to that, isn't there? Touche. Appreciate your time. Thanks for ruining my day, and go out and have a good one. We'll see you on Saturday, buddy.
Yep. Take care, guys. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.
Hey!